And welcome to another edition of the Sartorian Geek Podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything in between. I'm your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance, coming back one more again. Now let's drop, jump, drop, dip, tiptoe, go into a download. And this week's download is a game that I've been looking forward to, but I won't be playing simply because I haven't upgraded my system yet. And I am not a PC gamer, and I don't think my laptop that I use will really be capable of playing this game. But it is based on a property that is literally one of my favorite films of all time. It is a film that I have seen countless times since it dropped in 1987. It is a film that I can quote every line, and I would buy it for $1. That's right, it's RoboCop Rogue City, dropping on the PC, PS5, and Xbox. And Rogue City is a first-person shooter that is obviously placed in old Detroit, but players assume the role of RoboCop as he battles criminals and enemies in a fictional Detroit. Players traverse the city to investigate crime scenes, solve mysteries, interact with characters, and fight criminals such as punks, mercenaries, and robots. Now, the demo for this dropped about a week, no, maybe about a month ago at the time of this recording, and by the time you hear this, and I was really impressed with it. Peter Weller and Nancy Allen are reprising their roles of RoboCop, Officer Alex Murphy, and Ann Lewis. I'm not sure if anyone else from the original films are reprising their roles. It would be very interesting to see. There's some gameplay out right now, and I haven't looked at that since the game is technically out, at least for reviewers right now, and they're flooding the interwebs with their playthroughs and reviews. But it looks like a really solid game, and it is one that is steeped in the lore of RoboCop. Now, I love the first RoboCop. I love the second RoboCop. The third RoboCop is absolute trash. Yeah. And the TV series wasn't bad either, and I was a fan of the cartoon when it was out. I never dove deeper into the lore, such as the comic books that came out, RoboCop vs. Predator. I never got into a lot of that stuff, but I love the first two movies. And apparently this game takes place between RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3. So it ties up a lot of the loose ends from RoboCop 2, like what happened after he defeated Kane and his whole criminal nuke syndicate, and what happened before, and I forget the name of the Japanese corporation that came in. I believe they either merged or tried to overtake OCP. The season set for that to happen in RoboCop 3 within this game as well. So I'm very interested in at least looking at playthroughs to get the story, because RoboCop is a quintessential 80s film, and is a quintessential take or satire on the 80s. That's one of the things that I think Peter Verhoeven and George Romero as well, in their respective genres, did a very good job of satiring the decades and times in which these movies came out. And RoboCop is such a satire on 80s consumerism. And I think that's one of the reasons that the the reboot just didn't work. It tried to talk about terrorism and things, but it just fell so flat with any sort of meaningful social commentary. Whereas the original was spot on with what it did. So I'm looking forward to see particularly how themes of that, as far as what RoboCop is, translate into the game, because I saw some of that in the demo. But more importantly, the action and the story is what I'm looking forward to the most in this game. Just how it deepens that lore and connects the dots from RoboCop 2 to RoboCop 3. So that is my take on my download of this week. RoboCop Rogue City, dropping for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series systems, and PC. Now, jumping into the interview, I got the chance to speak with Liv Revamped a few months ago, and she is an adult actress who is very ambiguous, and that's one of the things we talk about. One of the things about the adult industry is that while inclusive as it may be, people get lumped and stereotyped into different categories based on how they look, whether it's MILF or this or that. And it was very interesting talking to her about the ramifications of that early on in her career, and then her coming back and breaking the sort of stereotypes and molds that they placed her in, thus the name Liv Revamped. She revamped herself and came back as something totally new and different to sort of break the bonds or break the typecasting that she had when she was originally in an interview. And she loves anime and cosplay, which was also an awesome part of the conversation. But take a listen to my interview with Liv Revamped, and then we'll be back. Liz. I always say Liv in my head.
Oh, it is Liv.
Oh, Liv. Okay. In my head, I'm like, is it Liv or Liv? Liv or Liv? Okay. Liv Revamped. Liv, how you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Now, you are a star that, doing my research, I find to be very fascinating, particularly with the name, adding the Revamped. And I know that came about because you took some time away from the industry. What really made you take time away, and what made you come back?
Well, the thing is that a lot of people aren't aware of is when I first started in the industry, I was typecast as Latina, even though I'm multiracial. So I'm Native American, Mexican, Greek, German, Filipino, English, and Black. I grew up in a Filipino household, and I never identified with being Latina like that. And my mom was more mixed and Filipino, whereas my dad was Creole. So I felt like I was not just lying to the audience, but trying to convince myself I was somebody I wasn't. And so I took a break from the industry because I kind of wanted to just step away. I didn't want to be Liv Aguilera anymore, which is who I was formerly. So when I got back into the industry, I rebranded, I revamped my brand, and I just told myself, if this doesn't work, then it's not meant to be. And, well, it's working.
That's fascinating. I never thought of it that way. And I guess, I never questioned your ethnicity, but I totally understand about, seeing you, the typecasting part, especially like it would be assumed that, okay, yeah, you're Latino. Okay, yeah, no questions about that. But that's really amazing. As far as I'm concerned, and thinking about how the industry typecasting you, really getting kind of, especially with regards to, say, roles, especially maybe 10 years ago, you didn't see the sort of cross section of talent going in this sort of genre, that sort of genre, like you do now in 2023. That's very interesting. Let me ask you, as a performer though, is there a difference between Liv Aguilera and Liv Revamped?
The answer is both yes and no.
Okay.
Who I am on camera is definitely my most authentic sexual self.
Mm-hmm.
But just because that is my sexual self does not mean that is me 24/7. That is just one part of me.
Okay, that sounds fun. And then with the Liv Revamped, we talk about branding, and especially now more so with more and more content being created for that direct to consumer market, whether it's OnlyFans, I forget all the other sites, but you and others in the adult industry really have a one-to-one connection with your fans now, where you didn't have that, 5 or 6 years ago. How important now is that rebranding in this sort of environment compared to maybe 2-3 years ago, in your opinion?
I think I'm glad I rebranded when I did, because now the industry is so just saturated with many different performers of different backgrounds and just different ways of life now. Whereas back in 2011, when I first started, there was a very small circle of performers.
Right.
Which is why I kind of had to be typecast, because the industry wasn't nearly as progressive as it is today, which is why now there are so many different performers. However, like I said, if I would have rebranded now, I feel like I probably would have gotten lost in the chaos of, who's the new girl, who's the it girl, who's doing this and that. And I already having a few years under my belt, I just kind of picked up where I left off and had already established myself.
Understood. Now, you talk about, I guess the it girl, and I always tell when I have the interviews, like, I'm not a student of the industry like I was, say, my teenage years, early college years, which was a drastically different time. But I do remember, and this is when people bought magazines, and it was the thing. Guess it's still the thing to get a video cover now. But it seems like those sort of things aren't as important considering how the industry is with, again, OnlyFans, but also I would say there aren't a lot of movies anymore. It's all a collection of scenes, and with that distribution over the web now compared to a DVD or something like that back in the day, that branding, especially now, seems like it would be even more important, where being the it girl isn't as much, because the it girl could be here today, gone tomorrow. Exactly. But you establishing that brand really carries on, because I will say, like, I'm not that familiar, but when I saw your name, I'm like, that's the name that stands out. That's a name that makes me want to say, who is this performer? Because it is so unique. And the whole revamped aspect of it, it has a connotation of a brand new, of change, of being different than what was there before. And that's even before knowing your background and how you were Liv Aguilera, and then you came back, and that stands out to me. And I'm pretty sure somebody who's, even a novice, like, oh, that's really interesting. So you would even stand out by your name alone, and where you've rebranded, in my opinion, compared to the new it girl.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah. And speaking of that branding, I understand you also, you're taking your brand and you're expanding it, into podcasting. And the podcast, correct me if I'm wrong, is Living High. So I have a pretty good idea of higher living. Excuse me. See, I knew I'd get it wrong. I have a pretty good idea of maybe what you're talking about, but tell us about the podcast.
Well, kind of like what you're trying to do with your podcast, interviewing different performers. My goal is to interview performers, get to know them on a more of a personal level outside of the industry, as well as discuss the things that truly make them happy and the path they take to really reach their higher selves. And I think that's really important to discuss, because I think we always talk about how we live in such a toxic society. And I don't necessarily want to talk about toxicity. I want to talk about what, uplifts people,
Right.
how people live their higher selves.
Got you.
While also getting really high.
Right. I love it. I find that to be so great. One of the things I like about podcasts in general is that now it's so accessible, and there's so many voices, and there are never enough. There are too many podcasts to try to listen to that I want to listen to. But it's always great, especially, and I think with you being in the industry and talking to others in the industry, there's a familiarity and a comfort, because they're going to be common experiences. The walls are going to come down a little bit, and especially if you're getting a little bit high as well. I'm pretty sure those are going to be some very interesting conversations. I understand that you talk to as real as guys, as well as Anna Fox, two people who I've had the good fortune of talking to, and I really loved it. So I'm really interested to see, or to hear your podcast with them, to see what else they really reveal, how they let their guard down, and just how vulnerable they are. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. I love the vulnerability of these sort of conversations, especially I know for myself, especially when we'll be in the geek blurred circle. When we talk, there's a bit more excitement, because there's a common experience, there's those common loves there, and I can only imagine how how much of a listening experience that higher living is going to be?
Well, the most important thing is I want people to be able to use my podcast as a platform. I want people to be able to use my podcast in order to talk about the things that they're really passionate about, and not just, the same old, same old. And I think a lot of these, not just the girls, but a lot of the performers, directors, producers, they're involved in so many different um, activities outside of the
Mhm.
industry, and I think that's so intriguing. It's crazy what people do when they're not filming porn.
I, from my conversations, I definitely understand and agree. It's not just, it's very fascinating as well. And I love seeing the multi-dimensionalness of all the performers, just people in general, but really of those in the adult industry, because there's such a stereotype with that. And I like seeing other sides. Now, talking about the adult industry, are there any performers that you, I won't say looked up to, but you really enjoyed watching before you got into the industry?
Before I got into the industry, I was actually fairly innocent. I didn't really know who many people were. I didn't even know who any of these companies were. So
Hmm.
when I did my first scene for Vivid, I'm just like, okay, cool. I had no idea what company I was shooting for, and uh, the catalyst that scene would be for my career.
Interesting. Okay. You were a newborn babe, so to speak, when you got into porn, you knew nothing about. That's fascinating, in my opinion. Now I'm going to ask you something, and correct me if I'm wrong. I've been looking through some of your social media, and I feel as though you're a lover of anime. Is that correct?
Oh, I love anime.
Excellent. So, how did you get into anime?
Well, I started watching anime really, really young. Not really young, but I guess, um, it starts with like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, Dragon Ball Z, and then um, Cartoon Network had Toonami, and you watch whatever anime was on there. And then you had Adult Swim. And during the week, it was mainly just like adult animations and adult shows.
Right.
And Saturdays were all anime, or at least mostly anime. So I would stay up until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and just watch all the anime they had.
Right, because I saw that you were dressed as Faye Valentine for one awards event. Um,
Not an award event,
it
just
wasn't
a
a award.
random industry Halloween party.
Oh, it was a Halloween party. Okay, all right. Well, that's even better. So, do you get a chance to cosplay often then? Because it looked like you had a lot of fun doing that.
Sadly, no, I don't get to cosplay very often. Um, I know people say that cosplay doesn't have to be expensive, but it's not necessarily practical for me. I know there's a lot of girls who capitalize on cosplaying and doing content in cosplay. That's just not my demographic, unfortunately. As much as I would love to cosplay, my fans just, the ones I have just aren't really into it. I'm sure I have a couple, and I've done a couple cosplay customs, but they would buy the costume for me
Right.
and then I would do the custom. Whereas if I went out and bought the costume, like I have with like a few cosplays, they were just really not into it.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. Okay. How about well, maybe not so much for customers, but you ever thought about just going to conventions and cosplaying just on your own for your just for fun?
I've always wanted to. I've never been to an anime expo or a comic con or anything. Unfortunately, usually when those events are happening, I'm either booked or there's another event that I
Understood.
have to attend.
And I totally understand. I myself of getting like I've gone for years, but I'm getting back into it because I had a love for a time. But yeah, if you ever find the time, just go.
I'm
It's
trying.
it's just fun to go with like-minded individuals and to find new things and to go to some panels and to meet people. it's just an awesome experience. I would say you get a chance to go. That's a really, really cool thing to do.
I'm trying. It's on my bucket list.
So now, okay. So what you talked about? So what are some of your favorite anime? Say, well, let me ask. What are some of your favorite anime growing up, and then what are you watching now?
So growing up, I got into, well, Cowboy Bebop. I loved Inuyasha, even though now I watch it as an adult and I find most of the characters kind of infuriating. But it was great for like teen angst. It was a great teen angst anime. And Fooly Cooly, I thought that was really funny. I have not watched any of the new season. I remember watching Trigun. That's another show that I have not watched the new episodes for. Bleach, but I never finished it. I started watching Naruto, but I only just finished Naruto, and I'm in the middle of Naruto Shippuden right now. And so I guess right now, I'm currently rewatching Attack on Titan because I never watched the latest season because, what was it, season 5 made me want to just jump out a window.
Understood. Yeah, I personally have to get back into Attack on Titan. I think I kind of lost out at season 2, so I have a lot to catch up on. I will tell you, I did finish Bleach way back when, and have watched the new season that came out too. It's really good. So
Yes.
it's really good. They did not disappoint. So whenever you finish, you got new stuff to watch when it comes out. But it's cool. And Trigun's a classic. It's like you literally named like all the stuff that I saw. I guess that was college for me, college era a little bit after, especially at Dragon Ball Z. And like I loved Cowboy Bebop. I still do. I bought it. This is back when people were selling fan dub DVDs on eBay before you could buy them in the store. So I saw like a fan dub DVD. I bought in like 2001. So yeah, anime is just so cool, and there's so many different types of anime for you to really get into. I think that's really awesome. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, you left the industry, you came back. Do you have an end goal for Liv Revamped?
An angle as in like Endgame?
Okay, let me phrase it this way. Say 5 years from now, where do you see Liv Revamped with regards to the brand? How do you want the brand to expand? If it's, past the adult industry or within the adult industry?
Well, I want to expand to more of just being an internet personality. I feel like I have a lot to talk about. I think despite kind of being a little mellow today, I think I bring a lot of personality to the internet. And I think not just that, I feel like because I have so many years under my belt within the industry, I have the privilege and the connections to talk to the performers I want and really just show the world who they are outside of porn.
Okay, I like that. And again, you speak very well to the fact that, having those connections will really give you those opportunities. So with that, you're looking, primarily to keep it as a podcast, or you're looking for maybe, changing the video format as well, YouTube, other aspects?
We're doing a video format podcast. So we're going to release it on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, etc. And, yeah, kind of just take it from there.
Okay. All right. And when should we expect, the first episode to drop, if it hasn't dropped already?
I still need to film one more episode, but once that is out, I will be releasing, I think, weekly or bi-weekly episodes. Okay.
Oh, so you were smart. You did a batch filming, and then you want to release them out. Smart. Very smart. I do a podcast weekly, and it's been about a month since my last one. This just because of life and planning. But yeah, batching them is a better option for your time, definitely. Oh boy. So Liv, I want to thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Tell all the fine folks where they can find you.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Liv Revamped, LIVREVAMPED. And you can follow me on Instagram at livrevamped.safe4work, SFW. And then, of course, subscribe to my OnlyFans at livrevamped.com.
Thank you, Liv. I appreciate it. You guys stay tuned. We have more coming up soon.
Thank you.
Now, usually this time we jump into fragrances, but this week I got something a little special. Don't worry. We're talking about fragrances, but with a twist. But right now, let's go into my second love when it comes to things that I'm addicted to, and that's going to be coffee. And one of the beautiful things about the world we live in now, there are a lot of small independent coffee roasters that are around that you can purchase coffee from, and one of them that's local to me is El Viejo Coffee, based here in the DMV. And I ended up purchasing some of their La Maria dark roast the other day, and man, it was so good. So it's described as indulge in the decadence of dark chocolate and wild berries, balanced with panela, and raisin sweetness. It's full-bodied, it's smooth, and it's rich. Man, I took one sip of that coffee and I was like, wow. And me personally, I'm a fan of dark roast. I am a fan of the robustness. I'm a fan of, in my opinion, how dark roasting really brings out the flavor of coffee in many different varieties. And this is one that I'm literally drinking 2-3 cups every single day. I'm going to go through this half-pound bag very, very quickly. And I'm glad they're local. I can literally just walk over and just get some more anytime I want to. But I'm really impressed with the coffee itself, and just David and company over there just do a really good job. They're very passionate about what they do, and I'm always willing, able, and excited to support small businesses that are very passionate about their product and what they do. So you can check them out at elviejocoffee.com. The link will be in the show notes. And if you're so inclined to purchase, and again, this is not an affiliate link or anything like that, I get money for this, but if you use the code Journey10, and that's Journey10, at checkout, you get 10% off your first purchase of El Viejo Coffee. So speaking of local, let's talk about the fragrances. And this week I'm going into something a bit different. While these aren't the spray fragrances, these are some beard oils that I purchased, and they are analogs to fragrances from this company. And this company is another local company to my area, and that is Signal for Apothecary. So I ended up purchasing the beard oil sample scent to give them a try and show my support, and just to really go through the fragrances and to see what they're like and if they're any good. Let's just take it that way. So first up, we have Premier. Now, Premier is labeled as having notes of vanilla, sweet tobacco, teakwood, and black currant. To me, at least in the beard oil, it gives me very much of a fougere barbershop sort of smell. I will say with all of these beard oils, they are light and they coat your beard really well and give your beard a good smell and a good sheen. So I really have enjoyed using them over the past week. I've really taken out one per day to to really test them out to see how the fragrance worked, as were they long lasting. They were long lasting, as well as the viscosity and how my hair is, really dealt with it. Next up, we have Lavender Cream, which is pretty much lavender and vanilla. It's a fragrance that's sweet, it's soothing, but that vanilla is really on point when it comes to the Lavender Cream. Next, we have Vanilla Mint, which is going to have notes of, vanilla and mint. I really like this one. It's peppermint, vanilla, and neroli. This is a definite one if you're looking for something that really fits that Christmas season, ho 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 and all that. Vanilla Mint is definitely a good one to try. Next, we're gonna go to 1800 Black. Now, 1800 Black features notes of vanilla, cedar, patchouli, and honey. I like this one as well. I love the combination of the cedar, patchouli, and the honey. The vanilla for me really takes a back seat, but it is a nice accent to those other notes. And last but not least, in this packet, now there are a bunch of other fragrances that they offer as well, but this one is wild. So you have sweet tobacco, bay rum, patchouli, and teak wood. Ooh, that bay rum is so nice. This would be a good one to pair with bay rum 76, 56, whatever that fragrance I have, and I forget what name it is at the moment. I'm getting old, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it's one that I really like. All of these are really good, and you can check them out at signal4llc.com. Link will be in the show notes. So I really enjoy them. I can't wait to get my nose on the actual fragrance analogs to these. I'll probably be purchasing a few of those in the near future to give you my impressions on the actual fragrances and how long they last and everything that goes along with that. But the beard oils, I'm very impressed. I like how they smell. I like the viscosity. I also like how long lasting they were in my beard. Also, they gave my beard a good softness, but not an oiliness. And the smell from all of them lasted pretty much all throughout the day. Now, obviously you become nose blind to an extent, but they smell really good. So that's my take on the beard oils from Signal for Apothecary. Again, you can find me everywhere around the web, but more importantly, support a brother. First of all, sign up for basilhandsage.com. Check out their subscription boxes there featuring a highlight of Black-owned businesses every single month. Boxes usually run for about $50, but if you sign up today, you get 10% off your first purchase with the code Sartorial and Geek 10. Become a producer at Patreon at the $1, $3, and $5 sort of ranges, either associate producer, or executive producer. And I have actually gone in and started uploading some video content that has never before been seen. Some of the uncut video, not safe for YouTube video from Exotica last year, because at the time of this recording, I'm planning to go to Exotica, New Jersey this coming year. So you'll be more than likely seeing a lot of the more uncut stuff on Patreon, because YouTube will definitely block me and take me down for that. So check me out there for behind the scenes footage I think that's at the $3 range, but a whole host of different goodies and unreleased content there, not just video but audio content as well, in addition to, of course, the Sartorial and Geek podcast will be there every single week. Make sure also, if you're interested in finding an affordable fragrance, while they also have a host of other products, I really go hard on their fragrances because I'm a very big fan of Villain and the other fragrance that they offer. That's right, it's not other than Pete and Pedro, and you can use the link in the show notes to get 10% off your first purchase. And if you are tired of all those energy drinks and you're trying to find something else, try W Energy Drink. Get 10% off your first purchase with the code WebsterMan, or use the link in the show notes. And as I said before, you can find me everywhere in the web. If it's not here, you can find me at Nerds Rule the World at least twice a week. I'm actually there quite more. I feel like I'm on there every single day. But on talking about video games with the NRW Checkpoint with my man Brian Sapp, and then of course talking about wrestling every week with the legend Kuyapi, and of course the voiceover king Sean Mongold on Kayfabe Baby, the NRW Ring Generals podcast. Of course, find me on social media: Instagram, Sartorial and Geek and Webster Style, Twitter, Webster Style, and of course TikTok _Webster Style. Drop me an email: info@websterstylemagazine.com. Of course, you can find anything and everything that is Webster Style at websterstyle.com. I thank you again for your time. I thank you again for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there and be blessed. Okay, I might have went over the edge. Besides, I really let them
clothes on them legs and thighs. Need to get strong, we can lift them to the sky. The party starts at 12, you got a little time to get it on. And on back, I'm the type who puts it on. And after that, take a picture with your phone of the outfit. Admit I'm choosing what we own. No, it was Tree Green Tuesday. Had to be Bow Tie Thursday. Had to be White Wednesday. I know last time. Well, I wore polka dot. You didn't wear. Miss Million, them heels killing them, but I'm sure it's a Thursday. Bow tie Thursday, pasta cream in your heels, looking sherbet, acting like you don't know the rules up in the workplace. Must I remind you it was till on your birthday? Don't get me wrong, I think we killed in the birthdays, and you picked the hella fit for the church day. Let's say you picked the wrist game poet. Now you got the floor filled with bras that you purchase. Pick a color scheme that can match the berry corset. Get the berry cream. Get the berry cream, get the berry cream, we can make a little scene. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Let's see what it seems. If it is what it seems. Do it again. Chicks be looking thick leggings, you know what I mean? I don't know. Take a hint though, don't try to get me at a moment. Coke though, smoking hot, rocking this pin so thin. Tie hairline, looking like a stencil pimp. No lie, I'm sharper than a utensil. Instrumental, plain dang, homie. I was hoping we could walk out with that bang bang, honey. See them plain James, honey. Them lame frames, funny. We tell it fit it crazy like that thing came on me. Hey, mommy, look a lady, main thing. Want me on the scene, fit popping like a main vein, running blood color lips, smashing with the hand clutch, money holding back. Kinda funny, can you tell me what's the price tag of the Range Rover? Hang on me when we walking, looking Gucci like that thing sprayed on me. Walking with a limp like an ankle sprained on me. Yeah, I rock the cardigan, she don't really want me because one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. No one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Hey, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Aim off and on the middle of my lawn. Aim off and on the middle of my lawn. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Oh, you wanted to? Oh, I completely read that wrong.